When the crowd started to gather at the Sahara tent for Coachella 2025, fans were already buzzing with anticipation. But things really escalated when two familiar faces were spotted in the audience, Lisa Manobin and Rose. The moment they were seen, fans started shouting, recording, and flooding Twitter. The two BLACKPINK members didn't try to hide, they were there to support Jennie, proudly sitting front row, giving energy that made people scream before the performance even began. And when Jennie Kim finally stepped on stage, it was like the entire festival held its breath. She didn't walk out. She made an entrance, slow, confident, magnetic. With the lights pulsing and the first beat of her opening track rumbling through the speakers, you could feel the shift. This wasn't a warm-up, this was a statement. Dressed in a look that mixed punk glam with Y2K edge, Jennie made it clear. She was there to dominate. She opened with a new solo version of her viral track, You and Me, but reimagined for Coachella, slower, sultrier, with live instrumentation and a moody synth background. Crowd immediately responded. Fans waved their phones in the air. Others just stood frozen, watching her command the stage like it was her natural habitat. Her vocals, crisp, emotionally loaded, like every lyric had weight. Then she transitioned seamlessly into a surprise number, an unreleased song titled Instinct. Nobody was ready. The beat dropped, the visuals turned red, and Jennie's entire vibe shifted into high gear. Her dancers mirrored her intensity, but it was Jennie BLACKPINK who held all the attention. Her flow was fast, sharp, and lyrical. It wasn't just a performance, it was a reveal of sound, of self, of evolution. Mid-set, there was a moment. No flashing lights, no choreography, just Jennie Kim under a soft spotlight, singing a stripped-down ballad that silenced the entire crowd. The lyrics spoke about pressure, fame, and freedom. Felt raw, like a diary entry she was brave enough to share in front of thousands. People weren't just watching Jennie, they were feeling with her. Then came the most talked-about moment of the night. Uchis joined her on stage for a surprise duet that no one expected but everyone loved. The two artists, side by side, brought a unique chemistry, dreamy, smooth, powerful. Their harmonies melted into each other as if they'd been performing together for years. The desert heat had nothing on that stage. As the music picked up again, Jennie performed solo with a completely new arrangement. Rock guitar riffs replaced the usual trap beat, and the performance turned into a wild anthem. She was screaming the lyrics by the final chorus, hair flying, fans losing it. Felt like a reclamation. Jennie wasn't just performing solo anymore, she was owning it. Camera caught glimpses of the crowd. Some were crying, others jumping, many with mouths wide open. This wasn't just another Coachella act, it was something else. Jennie had built her own world on that stage, and everyone watching had stepped into it willingly. One more moment made hearts stop. Just before the final song, Jennie walked to the edge of the stage and simply smiled at the crowd. No words, no pose, just a genuine moment. And the fans, they erupted. Because sometimes that's all it takes. Just one honest look to remind everyone that beneath the star, there's a real person shining through. She closed the set with Handle Me, another new track that mixed R&B with dark pop, creating an atmosphere that felt hypnotic. Jennie danced like she was floating, her voice weaving in and out of the beat. And by the time it ended, the crowd was completely silent before erupting into thunderous applause. And just like that, she walked off stage. But in those final moments, when the cameras panned to the crowd one last time, we saw it again. Lisa clapping slowly, smiling wide, and Rose leaning in, clearly emotional, mouthing something we'll never know but will always wonder. That subtle nod to their presence, that quiet support. It didn't need to be loud to hit hard. It was the kind of moment that fans live for. Because yes, Coachella 2025 was Jennie's night, but knowing Lisa and Rose were there, vibing from the crowd, made everything feel more complete. 3 stars, still connected, still supporting, and still making history, each in their own way. Crowd was still in a frenzy as Jennie stepped off the stage, her silhouette disappearing into the backstage shadows. The roar of the audience seemed to echo throughout the desert, a reminder of how powerful her performance had been. Fans were still screaming, still clapping, their voices high-pitched with excitement, unsure if they could believe what they just witnessed. But one thing was clear, Jennie had officially made her mark on Coachella 2025. And as the dust settled and the night sky began to swallow up the last traces of daylight, it was evident that this would go down as one of the most iconic performances in festival history. For fans who'd been waiting for her solo moments, it felt like everything they'd ever dreamed of had finally come to life. Jennie wasn't just another performer on stage, she was a force, a magnetic presence that commanded attention. The energy, the precision, the raw emotion she poured into each track felt so much bigger than just the music. She was telling a story, her story, one that had taken years to write. And in that moment, Coachella became the stage for her personal revolution. But while Jennie was taking the world by storm with her undeniable talent, the presence of Lisa and Rose in the crowd made the night feel even more intimate. They weren't just there as supporters, they were there as family, and their reactions were nothing short of heartfelt. Lisa, known for her cool demeanor, couldn't help but smile widely every time Jennie hit a high note. Rose, on the other hand, was more vocal in her admiration, clapping and shouting out her support, fully invested in every moment. It was a connection that went beyond performance. These were the moments that proved the bond between them was real, raw, and unbreakable. As Jennie performed the high-energy solo, the crowd erupted in applause. There was a moment when the beat dropped so hard that the entire Sahara tent seemed to shake. Jennie's moves were sharp, calculated, and she never missed a step. You could feel the rush of adrenaline pulsing through her as she took command of the stage, moving like a seasoned pro. But beyond the choreography, what made this performance so unforgettable was the way Jennie made it her own. It wasn't just about hitting the perfect note or pulling off the most intricate dance moves. It was about showing up as herself, bold, fearless, and unapologetically Jennie. Midway through the set, Jennie took a brief pause. The music softened and the crowd grew quieter, hanging on to every word as she spoke. She shared something personal with the audience, a message about overcoming the pressures of fame and learning to trust herself in a world that constantly demands more. The vulnerability in her words connected with everyone in that tent. It wasn't just another celebrity on stage, it was Jennie, a person who had struggled, grown, and become stronger in the face of everything life threw her way. The audience listened in rapt silence, taking in every syllable like it was a life lesson wrapped in melody. When the surprise duet with Kali Uchis happened, the crowd went wild. It wasn't just a collaboration, it was a moment that felt like destiny. Chemistry between Jennie and Kali was palpable. Their voices, so different yet complementary, filled the space with a warmth that radiated through the crowd. Fans could feel it, the magic of two incredible artists coming together to create something entirely unique. Kali's voice was smooth, a perfect contrast to Jennie's powerful delivery. The harmony between them was something that took everyone by surprise, and it was clear this was a performance that would be talked about for years to come. As the performance neared its climax, Jennie delivered one of the most powerful renditions of solo the world had ever seen. The stage lights flickered as she poured every ounce of energy into her movements. Her voice soared, filling the Sahara tent with an intensity that left everyone speechless. Crowd responded in kind, with people jumping, singing along, and even tearing up in sheer admiration for what Jennie had accomplished. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that this wasn't just a performance, it was a moment that transcended time and place. But the most touching part of the night came just before the finale. Jennie, breathing heavily from the intensity of her set, looked out into the sea of faces in the crowd. She didn't speak at first. Instead, she took a moment to take it all in. The applause, the cheers, the energy that had been flowing through the Sahara tent all night. It was almost as if she was letting the love from her fans wash over her. She smiled, a soft, genuine smile that made the crowd go wild. It was a look of pure gratitude. And for that brief moment, it felt like everything had come full circle. And then came the closing song, Handle Me. Jennie delivered it with all the power and grace that had defined the night. The stage erupted into a flurry of lights and sound as she danced, her movements sharp and rhythmic, commanding attention with every beat. The energy was infectious, and the crowd matched her intensity. The song ended on a high note, and Jennie took a moment to breathe, her chest rising and falling with the adrenaline coursing through her veins. As the final beat echoed into the night, the crowd was still cheering, still chanting her name. Jennie left the stage, but the night was far from over. As the camera panned to Lisa and Rose, their expressions said it all. They were proud. They were amazed. They were witnesses to something extraordinary. The way they looked at Jennie, it wasn't just about being fans or fellow performers. It was the look of two sisters watching one of their own take flight, soar above the rest, and claim her place in history. It was the perfect ending to an unforgettable performance. Jennie had stepped onto the Coachella stage as an artist and left it as a legend. The night was hers, and with Lisa and Rose by her side, it was a moment that would live on forever. If you loved this unforgettable moment at Coachella 2025, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more exclusive updates, and comment below with your favorite part of Jennie's performance. Let's get the conversation going. See you in the next video.